In this live session, I want to talk about like why you should consider being an independent freight dispatcher. And I do see there is a confusion. Like, what are the differences between being an independent freight dispatcher and being a truck dispatcher? Meaning, truck dispatcher is just basically an employment opportunity. An independent freight dispatching is a business opportunity. Well, if I can give you an example, a truck dispatcher is an employee, works for a carrier. It's a single carrier. Let's say if I have trucks, for example, and I employ a dispatcher. So this dispatcher knows how to use load boards, meaning finding loads, booking loads, dispatching loads. These are the platforms, meaning Truck Stop is one of them, the DAT is another one. There are a lot of platforms, meaning freight matching platforms. That's what they call it. We call them load boards. Now, you want to become an independent freight dispatcher. Being an independent, it basically separates you from being an employee of the company, meaning if you work for a carrier who owns trucks, maybe you're working for an owner operator. And here is another confusion. When people say, well, I want to work with drivers, or I want to work with owner operator, I want to work with a carrier. But know this, that owner operator and a carrier, well, basically it's the same thing. It's owner operator is a person who owns a truck and trailer and drives himself or herself. That's the main difference. So he is a carrier. He has active MC number and DOT number. The carrier, why most of the people use carrier for the larger companies, or think about like medium-sized companies as well, or think this way. If you own more than 2 trucks, then you're a carrier, right? People will be calling you a carrier. Why? Because now you own the equipment, meaning trucks and trailers, but you don't drive. So you employ drivers, maybe owner operators, and you give them the job, right? You have your dispatchers, in-house dispatchers. Maybe you have 10, 15, 20 trucks. Now, people call you a carrier. I work for a carrier. You can also dispatch other people's trucks, meaning you can employ owner operators. You can hire owner operators. Well, my suggestion is, if you can separate your business from, if you have a carrier side of the business, you definitely need to separate your dispatching side of the business. And I'll give you an example. It's a personal example. I had a trucking company back in the days, and I own a, Anton says, how do I actually sign up as a driver? Is that the question, Anton? I'll come back to this question. So when I was a carrier, back in 2014, 2015, I was in the flatbed market. I owned 4 trucks. Now, people started approaching me saying, hey, can you dispatch? I have a truck and trailer, meaning these are the people like owner operators. They want to work for you. And I said, okay, well, back then I didn't know that I can separate the company. Nobody, told me that I should separate these 2 companies. I thought, well, if I have active MC and DOT, why don't I just get these people under my company and start serving them? I was dispatching. I hired 2 more dispatchers. And from the office, obviously, dispatching these people, and one of the owner operators involved in really bad accident. Think what happened. Well, this owner operator is under my MC. He owns a truck and trailer, but we're dispatching, finding loads for the owner operator. But then think about, well, basically we mess up our company, meaning the trucking company. So don't go, that route. If you wanted to start your independent freight dispatching company and you're a carrier right now, you just separate your company, start another LLC and separate this company and call it whatever you want. And this is the independent dispatching side of your business. right? And then you can do whatever you want with the carrier side of the business. You can buy trucks, you can grow your fleet. It's totally fine. But then the thing that I'm trying to say is don't mix these two companies altogether, because independent freight dispatching, this is where you're finding loads for other people using their MC and their equipment if something happens and stays in this business. So very important to note. And coming back to the question, I want to become an independent freight dispatcher, but I don't know how to become a dispatcher. And I do see there is a question how we get carriers. I'll take that question. Although I did a video, I think the last video, that was how to get carriers. And I will, take this question as well. So being an independent freight dispatcher, obviously it's a business opportunity. As we said, you need to have your LLC. And here is the kicker. You can start this independent freight dispatching company pretty much any part of the world. Yes, I did say that, hey, there is obviously there's a bigger problem. There is an obstacle for international people because these major load boards, meaning these load matching platforms like Truckstop and DAT, they're not dispatcher friendly anymore. They used to be, but not anymore. They decided to just, hey, we focus on specifically individuals in the United States. They must have their citizenship. Yes, they did that, and they said this. They must have the citizenship. They must have a carrier and a dispatcher carrier agreement so that we can give them the load boards. Because of that change, some people got confused, thought about, well, I think I need an MC and DOT. And this is what I see on my YouTube channel. I read comments and people just go and answer questions saying that, hey, if somebody asks a question, well, I think I need an LLC, the MC and DOT in order to get access to the load boards. And people just jump in and say, well, yes, you need an MC and DOT number. Well, that's the confusion, right? Think about if you're starting an independent freight dispatching business. The only reason you're starting independent freight dispatching business because you don't want to get involved like buying trucks and trailers. That's the beauty of being an independent freight dispatcher. We don't buy trucks. We don't own any equipment. We don't have this insurance attached to our MC. We don't want that. Well, we leave this up to the carrier. Hey, carrier, if you wanted to, me dispatch or find loads for your trucks, well, here I am. I have an LLC. Let's do business together. That's the business model. Now, since these companies, meaning DAT and Truckstop, change the trajectory of like how they're getting, the independent freight dispatchers, giving them the access. Well, think about if somebody says that there is a question, can't we operate without an LLC? Well, we can talk about that. Well, let's focus on MC and DOT. Think about if you are an independent freight dispatcher, dispatching other people's trucks. If you apply for an MC number, you're basically becoming a carrier because MC stands for motor carrier. Now, if you apply for an MC, well, then you need to buy a truck, right? Then if you have a truck, then you must have a active insurance policy attached to that MC. Now you're not an independent freight dispatcher. Now you're a carrier. Now you have MC number, you have a truck, you have the insurance. You're not anymore independent freight dispatcher. Like, how come? Why you need an MC number? That's what I said. The beauty of being an independent freight dispatcher, the business model, is we don't own any equipment. Right? We stay in this business model without owning any equipment. We don't need any trucks and trailers, no insurance attached to whatever the trucks, the trailers. Well, then how am I going to access the load board? Because these major platforms, they need an MC and DOT. Well, let me back up and say this. These major companies out there, there are two main customer segments in their mind or they're basically targeting these two, customer segments. One is brokers. The main one is brokers. Then second, carriers. It wasn't designed for independent freight dispatchers. So basically, we want finding way to get in, to get access and start dispatching other people's trucks, meaning carriers. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, first of all, you must have an LLC. That's the question, right? Can't we operate without an LLC? Well, you can't operate. There's no way for you to operate without an LLC. Well, there's some people will say this. Well, yes. Well, this guy is lying, or this guy, he doesn't know anything about dispatching. You don't need an LLC. Well, if you listen to that person, failure is guaranteed, right? You can't operate a business where your business managing other people's trucks in whatever the equipment and finding loads, and you're also negotiating on behalf of the carrier, and you don't have a LLC. Meaning, think about like a company, okay? So how are you going to have, let's say, dispatcher carrier agreement? Well, your carrier, well, FMCSA, go ahead and read that, think about the rules or the governing law. Go ahead and read. It's an FMCSA. Go ahead and read. And it says you must have your LLC before you even find a single load for this, trucking company. Because between trucking company and an independent freight dispatching company, there is a document. It's a binding contract. And that contract called dispatcher carrier agreement. And you must have your LLC before you sign this contract. It's a law. There are a lot of people saying that you don't want your LLC. Well, okay, you don't want your LLC if you're learning, if you're taking courses, or if you under the mentor learning the load boards, people showing you how to do this business. You're learning the business model, then obviously you don't need an LLC. But once you start actually wanted to make money in this business, you need a carrier, right? So your carrier will require you to actually signing a legal binding agreement with your carrier. That's the truck dispatcher carrier agreement. And you must have your LLC. So if you apply, let's say, for an LLC, then the DAT says, well, you must have your physical address in the United States, both truck stop and a DAT. So you must have a physical address in the United States. Then you apply for your LLC, right? Then what you do, you must have a carrier. So if you don't have these, you will not be able to get access to DAT load boards and a truck stop. Period. That's the new requirement they have, right? Well, they're kind of refining it, optimizing it, adding things, removing things. But what they're doing is basically just saying, hey, if you're outside the U.S., then there's no chance for you to access a load board. Well, there are a lot of people, let's say I've been in countries where I saw that there's a dispatching operation, like 200 people. I saw an operation like about 400 people operating in one place. These people dispatching trucks in the US, but there is a special, I would say, process because these people own trucks in the United States. It's a different level. Well, you're an independent freight dispatcher and wanted to dispatch other people's trucks. Maybe you start dispatching 1 or 2 trucks. It's a different story. And in order to get access to these load boards, well, now DAT and truck stop, it's like, no, we can't give you an access, right? But then one way is to find a carrier. When you find a carrier and let your carrier know that you will be dispatching using his account, but hey, you're not using exactly his account. but your carrier buys you a, think about sub account. That's what I heard from a DAT. I'm actually working with DAT. I'm not employed, but then I'm one of the resellers for a DAT. We'll think about affiliate. I'm directly talking to DAT, and these people saying, well, Kamal, yes, dispatchers can get access to load board, DAT load board specifically, but they must have a carrier first. And I will tell you the reason why they do this, because there's a reason behind this. And they will get access, but then, hey, they must have a carrier. And when they have a carrier, they should let their carrier know that we need a sub account. Meaning, if I'm a carrier, I'll give you an example. If I'm a carrier, then you're watching right now and you're an independent freight dispatcher. You don't have access to DAT load board. Let's say DAT1 Select. So what we're doing is you're talking to me and say, hey, Kamal, I can dispatch your trucks. You have about 4 trucks and I know how to dispatch. Well, I don't have a load board access. And I'm like, okay, I do have a load board access, but I can't give it to you. Well, I'm not going to give it to you, but what I can do is I can buy a sub account, right? You will be paying your part, meaning if I pay $180 per month, then you will be paying $180 per month to your account. So it's your account. But then there is a catch. Well, I mean, there is a problem. Well, if I cancel my account with the DAT, then your account will be canceled automatically. Why? Because think about, I have the primary account and you have the secondary account. So if I cancel this, it automatically cancels the secondary account. So that is that, right? But then if you go the other way around, where DAT says, hey, you must have an LLC, you must have a physical address in the United States, and you must have a carrier, right? So when you have a carrier, you have an LLC, you have a physical address in the United States, you get the carrier, you get the dispatcher carrier agreement, then your carrier calls or emails DAT saying that I'm working with this dispatching agency. Here is the contract. Please take a look it up. My company name is Prime Express. I'm out of Flag, Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm working with this ABC dispatching agency. Then DAT will just look it up, this company, meaning your carrier, and then they will look it up you, do some background check to see if you're legit, and that's it. Within a couple of days, you will get access to the load board. The good thing with this method is when your carrier cancels on you or maybe his DAT account, then you still have your account. You can still dispatch other people's trucks, right? So now you have the DAT access. I don't know if this method will work for a truck stop. I don't know, because I don't work them like closely, but I do the training on the TMS that they have, which is ITS dispatch, but I don't promote their load board specifically. Now, that is that. This is how you get the load board. So being an independent freight dispatcher, this is one of the main confusions, I think. This is where people start right away getting their LLCs. Even international people, like people meaning outside the US, they're like, well, I can use registered agents to get LLC. Like, if you don't know anything about dispatching, don't start your LLC. If you are in the States, don't start your LLC. You don't need that. Why? And again, if you are learning, what I'm trying to say, if you are in the learning phase, you don't need your LLC. So how that is going to happen? If you are interested in becoming an independent freight dispatcher, think about it this way. There are like 2 parts. One part is, think about the business aspect. Since independent freight dispatching is a business opportunity, so this business aspect is where you need to know, like, starting your LLC the right way, and obviously knowing the marketing, creating content, doing the sales, all good stuff like operations, automations, optimization, everything that related to business. Like you need to learn this, right? That's the business aspect. But then since we're talking about the independent freight dispatching, now you need to know like how am I like becoming an independent freight dispatcher? Like what are the differences between a truck dispatcher and independent freight dispatcher? Like you need to understand the business model. Then if you don't know how to dispatch, meaning if you never use platforms like DAT, truck stop, meaning load boards, then your first job is to actually learn how to dispatch, meaning finding loads, how to use these, load boards, how to talk to brokers, how to dispatch, how to talk to carrier, how to get a carrier. So once you get this aspect, meaning the skill aspect, you know how to dispatch, you're confident. Now you're moving into the second aspect, which is the business aspect. On the business aspect, take it seriously, but at the same time, like, don't overcomplicate, meaning, well, I need this type of LLC. I need to do this and that. I need to, get my marketing plan, or, I need to get this sales, script to close on carriers. Well, you will get there eventually, but take it simple, but know that there is an important aspect when you're creating your LLC. What I mean by that, well, we taught well over 25,000 students all over the world. And again, I'm not saying that they're paid students, but these people, like most of it, they're free students. They're joining our free communities, and then we obviously teach, right? So what I realized when people coming into the independent freight dispatching game, they watch videos, people obviously teaching how to become independent freight dispatchers. Well, know this, that when you creating your LLC, maybe you have your LLC, the probability that you started your LLC the wrong way is high. Yes, I said that. Maybe you have your LLC and you started the wrong way. Why? Well, when people joining our communities, and I asked the question, do you have an LLC? And they said, yes, I do have an LLC. Well, okay, when you start your LLC, you did the paperwork. Let me simplify and use a simple language. Or words. I said, what did you declare to your state? And they get confused and like, what do you mean? Well, you are in, let's say, in Texas, and you started your LLC. And your state must know what type of business you're doing, like what type of business you're conducting. And people can say something like, it's a logistics, it's a trucking company, it's a transportation and freight management or freight agent or something like that. They will say all kinds of things. But hey, independent freight dispatching, it's an agency that you're starting from scratch. It's a management/consulting business. If you're taking notes, this is very important. So if you wanted to become an independent freight dispatcher and own an independent freight dispatching agency, right? Because you will employ maybe remote dispatchers from other countries, maybe, or you will be employing, let's say, dispatchers like within the states, for example, or they will be basically coming to your office and searching for loads and helping you grow your business. Those people will be working in your agency. That's the name, right? Independent freight dispatching agency. That's what we teach, like how you can start your dispatching agency. Well, before you start independent freight dispatching agency, because it's a business, right? Yes, it's the idea sounds awesome, right? I want to do this. I want to start this independent freight dispatching agency. Sounds cool. I will hire people. I'll get carriers, and then I'll do all sorts of things. It's an amazing, it's a business opportunity. Yes, but what about independent freight dispatch? Like independent freight dispatcher, like you as a business owner, do you know how to dispatch? Like how do you actually use load boards? Well, yes, I did watch a couple of videos on YouTube. It's straightforward. I get a carrier, I must have an LLC, and I must have this dispatcher carrier agreement. And when I get this things all together, right, this is the plan, and I'll just get the subscription for the load board and start finding loads. Well, you can definitely do that, but you will be part of this 99% of the dispatchers out there. Well, why am I qualifying these, like being in 99% of dispatchers? And actually, there's a 1% of dispatchers that are actually right now in the industry and they're killing it, right? Like I had a call, the onboarding call today. I was talking to a lady, and she said, one of my friends, she's making a lot of money with this independent freight dispatching. And then I hear a lot of people out there complaining about, like, I can't get loads. My, carriers, they're leaving me, or carriers don't want to work with me. Well, if a carrier don't want to work with you, you're doing something wrong, right? And I do know this part of this 1% of these people. As I said, I did live on YouTube, and I said that we call these people sharks, right? So these people, call them pro dispatchers. How they different? Well, the question is, like, how they different from this 99%? If they're in 1%, like, what are the differences? Well, the main difference being in 1% and in 99% is being in data-driven dispatcher. I specifically make these videos, and I specifically say data-driven dispatchers repeatedly, all the time. The reason why I say this, because when I started teaching people, when I came to the market, before I started teaching online, I was teaching in my office in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, people come in, like, basically I give, like, my account, log in, and do search for loads, talk to brokers. This is, what to say, what not to say. I was teaching a lot of people in my office. But then I get excited. Friends and family said, hey, Kamal, you teach these people inside, in the office. Let's start teaching online. And I was looking for an idea, like, how am I going to teach online? Like, I want to position myself, because I do see people teaching, but people teaching being a truck dispatcher, meaning be a employee for the trucking company, right? So you need to know how to use a load board, how to talk to a broker. That's it. That's all into it. And these people teaching just that. And I said, well, what's my value proposition? Like, I'll bring something in to the market, and I want people to work with me. And this is where the idea, came from. Independent freight dispatching. Go ahead and check it out, right? We were the, first ones when we go into the market and start teaching independent freight dispatching. Nobody were teaching being an independent freight dispatcher. That's the number one reason why we started working with DAT. And the truck stop reached out, to us so that we can, start, working with them. We gave a lot of ideas to DAT. We do a lot of, the meetings where we exchanged ideas, obviously. And we were the one, we gave the idea to DAT to create self-sign-up process. You gotta check it out. I did video already. And people started rushing into the market, start teaching being an independent freight dispatching. These people like the idea of being an independent freight dispatcher. Why am I saying this? Like, what's the reason behind sharing this? Well, we need to get credit. That's the first thing. Right? Well, people teaching out there, yes, go ahead and teach, no problem. But give the credit for the person who created this, right? The being an independent freight dispatcher. I challenge you. So if you don't trust me, go do your research and come back. We can, do a live together, and then we'll go over the videos. Like, as I said, nobody were teaching being an independent freight dispatcher. And again, what's the reason behind this? Nobody is teaching right now being a data-driven dispatcher, right? Have you heard this before? No, absolutely not. Why? Because we completed the independent, in-depth DAT load board. It's a brand new, the training that we did. It's done. And that's the reason why we started saying being an independent freight dispatcher, meaning data-driven dispatcher. So, and I heard this 6 years ago. Awesome. More power to you. I trust you. Now, data-driven dispatcher is a person who uses the numbers. So, okay, let me take the first question. Anton says, how do I actually sign up a driver? So you are a carrier, is that what you're saying? Or you are an independent freight dispatcher? Maybe you're thinking like, how am I going to get a carrier? Because when you say driver, driver is a person who works for a carrier as an employee. So he's a CDL holder, right? So commercial driver license. Rephrase this and give me this like, do you mean carrier or do you really mean a driver? Because if you say driver, maybe like I'll be thinking like, okay, he's a carrier, he's looking for a driver, right? How he can get drivers. Or you're an independent freight dispatcher, how he can get a carrier. So now, how we get carriers? Well, straightforward, doing marketing. I did a video like about, I think it was last Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Last Thursday, I posted a video. I showed exactly how one of my students just got a TikTok account from scratch, brand new, no followers, and we gave them the hashtags, the specific hashtags that I tested, and we give them the specific time to post and the video, the duration of the video, and what to post. And we said post constantly for about next 15 to 20 days and see what happens. And he got within 45 days about 5,000, almost 5,000 followers, and he get bunch of carriers. Like, I don't know how many carriers he has right now. Well, there is a video, go check it out. You need to create a content. There is a strategy right now. It works perfect because carriers in the market right now, searching for carriers, looking for dispatchers specifically, and again, data-driven dispatchers. So, must have a TikTok account. And if you're like, well, I don't want to show my face, I want to do faceless videos. Actually, faceless videos perform well, right? So, and then you must have a sales process. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, sales funnel, sales process, go watch that video. It's straightforward, and I'm actually showing the numbers. In one of his videos got about 400,000 views, and he got a lot of comments, carriers asking questions about like, how do I sign up with you? I want you to be my dispatcher, all that. The idea is this: you have a TikTok account and you start posting content. Think about if you have a load board access, you're just basically recording a load board saying, hey, here's a load coming out of Atlanta, Georgia, goes to Houston, Texas, and it pays like 10,000. Well, this is an awesome load. It could have been yours. Let me be your dispatcher, whatever. And then boom, you post. Well, you need to like know the specific time zone to post, and obviously hashtags. Then you post and you have the link attached to that video or the profile, and people will start, chatting with you, asking questions. You'll let them know that, hey, here is a link. You can go ahead and sign up with me. There is a process, obviously, and you will get a lot of carriers. Know this, that this works like crazy, right? Be cautious. It works. You will get carriers, but then your job is to qualify them. We give our students the specific sales process where the process itself qualifies the carrier, and then our students closing on the deals. But remember that these people will reach out to you. Why? Well, it's the same thing. Well, think about, we're talking right now in I'm delivering value to you, right? I'm sharing a lot of values with you. And you may be thinking like, oh, okay, so I think he knows what he's talking about. Maybe I can get help with him. Imagine if I'm an independent freight dispatcher creating content and you are a carrier watching and you're like, I want to work with this person because I have a truck and trailer and he knows how to dispatch. And not only he knows how to dispatch, he's a data-driven dispatcher. So create content and people will reach out to you. Maybe you're, as I said, at the beginning of this video, you could be #1 world-class dispatcher. If nobody knows about you, well, you basically don't exist for them. So if I know how to dispatch, if the person watching me right now is a carrier, don't know anything about me, that means I don't exist for these people. So I must go online and say, hey, hello, I know how to dispatch, let's work. Hope that, helps. How do I sign up a carrier? Like, do I give them a contract, or what's the sign up process? I just said it, right? That's the sign up process. Another question and if so, how I get the contract for them to sign? We can agree on the term, such as dispatching company role and the payment term as well. What I recommend is hiring an attorney, right? These are the people know their stuff. I don't know how to write contracts. I don't buy contracts, be honest with you. Well, I work with an attorney that she specializes in contracts. So she drafted our contract, okay? So you can obviously hire an attorney, and that person can create or draft a contract for you. Right? Contract, very, very important. And by the way, DAT will, when they read the dispatcher carrier agreement, they quickly can realize that, well, this is a template. This is the contract that professionally written by the attorneys, whatever. Okay, so be cautious. Remember that it's very, very important. Can we operate without an LLC? I already covered that you need an LLC in order to dispatch other people's trucks. So if you don't live in the US, you can definitely use, as I said, registered agent to create an LLC, and you can work that way. Well, it doesn't matter. You could be any part of the world, but you definitely need an LLC in order to do independent freight dispatching business. Okay. There is an owner dispatch, says, I'm facing many issues to get a carriers, please help. Owner dispatch, I think that's a channel name. I'm here, ask me, you need a carrier. I just explained how you can get, carriers. People use social media platforms. Think TikTok, think YouTube, think Facebook groups, or Instagram. Some of my students, they're really good at Instagram Reels. They're posting Reels. I'm not good at using Instagram. I'm not that active. I think we have about 4,000, followers, but we're not active on, Instagram. But we're active here on YouTube. That's why we have about 56, subscribers, and it's growing, and people watching, people, reaching out to us. Both dispatchers and obviously carriers. So what we recently realized that TikTok works crazy, right? The only thing you need to do is first thing, you must have a TikTok account and start, posting content. And when I say posting content, think about this way: what type of a content you should post, right? Think if I'm a carrier, I'm interested in hiring drivers. I'm interested in hiring dispatchers, working with dispatchers. I'm interested in running my business. How can I get best paying loads, or how to use load boards, or what are the loads are available to me right now? I don't know. Can you show me? Can you teach me? When I say, we teach people how to become independent freight dispatchers so they can start their independent freight dispatching agencies, well, we also teach, carriers how to use load board, meaning how to become a data-driven dispatcher. So if they have, let's say, 50, 60, dispatchers in-house, in the office, working for this, carrier, and obviously we just teach them advanced, level, meaning using data, how you can, forecast and pull those best-paying, loads. Create content, attract carriers, start chatting, start talking to carriers. There was a technique back then, it worked about 40 years ago. Joining Facebook groups and saying, hey, I'm here, I can help, it doesn't work anymore, right? So now you personally should create a content. Why? Because owner of the Facebook group, getting all the benefits, right? But then you kind of left off. So you can post, they can delete, they're also moderating whatever you're posting. And then there's a alarm scam going on, right? People these scammers posting like, hey, I have a load. I'm looking for a carrier. I'm an independent freight dispatcher. That's a lie, because independent freight dispatchers, they can't assign loads. Only brokers can assign loads, right? Well, are you a broker? No, I'm not a broker, but I do have loads. Run away. If you're a carrier watching right now, run away, because those are the scammers. Because we independent freight dispatchers, we don't have loads. We work with brokers, specifically load boards, to get best paying loads using the data, right? So that's how it actually works. Now, there is a question. The market sucks. This is not the best time to start in any category of a trucking business. 100% don't agree, not agree, absolutely not. Why? As I said, think about this way. 2025, next year, a lot of things are changing. Are you prepared? Are you ready? So if you don't know how to use load boards, and think again, how many independent freight dispatchers out there right now? Just throw a number, let's say 8,000, say 10,000, right, all across the globe. Well, 99% of those people just go into the market, and within 2 to 3 months, they go out of the business or out of the market. They don't know like what to do, right? So when you say market, it sucks, but market always fluctuate, right? So there's a good time, there's a bad time, there's a good season, there's a bad season. So if you're not prepared for these like bad seasons or the economy, changes, let's say in a bad economy, there's still people making a ton of money. But some people, think about it, it's like a contraction, right? So when things get crazy, people just go out of business, right? There is a specific reason why these people go out of business. So an only way to get these loads, like good paying loads, come back, because there are a lot of carriers must leave the industry. Same thing with independent freight dispatchers. Like if you don't know how to use a load board, you don't know the game, and it suddenly becomes like, it sucks. But man, it's a business, right? And not many people can run a business or start a business and run a business because it's challenging. And because it's challenging, meaning running a business, specifically in the trucking industry, the reason why I say this, because running a trucking business, running a brokerage firm, running an independent freight dispatching business is no different. It's a business. So if you don't know how to run a business, specifically in the trucking industry, why? Because it's competitive, it's brutally competitive, it's a capital intensive business. It's very intense. This is why you will hear a lot of people, veterans specifically, these people been in business for 40 years, 50 years. These people will say, well, trucking is not for everybody. 100%. Can't agree enough with this statement. Trucking, when I say trucking, or the transportation, well, let's call it trucking. Trucking, these people who own trucks and trailers, these are people, or brokers, these are the people, independent freight dispatchers. It's brutally competitive, capital intensive business. Intense, right? So, and you obviously coming here and then you're saying, well, we're not going into this business at this time. Well, that's your decision. But when things get crazy and when people get into the business and get ready, there's something really good coming. And if you're not ready, you will miss that wave. And it's coming, right? If you're not preparing right now, you're not doing your part, knowing the business, how to run a business, how to start this business, then you're out of business. There's no questions. Now, let's see what we have here. Should we offer just dispatching? I've seen other dispatch services such as IFTA, billing, DOT and safety compliance. Should we offer these services too, since other dispatching are offering these also? Well, great question. If there are people already offering these types of services because they know, right? I can say, yes, go ahead and help with IFTA, but I don't know if you know proper way filing an IFTA, right? Because it's tax related, is very important. Well, it's a billing. Do you know how to do the billing aspect, right? If you're really good at customer service and then obviously offer those services. I'll give you more services to offer, but yes, I agree that don't confine yourself or just limit yourself saying, hey, we offer dispatching services, because you'll be competing with thousands of people, meaning other fellow dispatchers, because they do the same thing. They offer finding a load, booking a load, dispatching a load. That's the dispatching service, right? So if you wanted to offer a safety compliance, do you know how to do safety compliance? Like, do you know all the rules, right? Are you up to date? I know one of my students, she just does the safety training. She teaches the carriers and obviously freight dispatchers. Although she's a dispatcher, and she's won from this single offer, right? She's making a lot of money because she knows how to do safety audits and she knows the safety compliance. Offering more services, something like, think about carriers. Don't limit yourself like these people own trucks and trailers. Think in terms of business. These people in business, and they're making a lot of money, right? Especially if these people own 10, 20, 30, 40 trucks. Like they're generating revenue. There's a lot of money to be made in this business. And this is why I said, think in terms of business, because these people have problem with finding right people, dispatchers, the drivers, right? Think about the operation aspect. Think about, back office, help. There are a lot of things go into this. Like, think about marketing. Think about sales. A lot of services you can offer, but hey, if we're really good at marketing, we can offer marketing. The marketing is like, we can build sales funnels, we can write emails. Why? Because we have a team of copywriters, we have a team of people who can create these sales processes for carriers. We can do that. We've been doing this for 10 years, for example, right? Then we can offer. And if you don't know how to build a business, build a website for the business, then you don't offer, right? Don't even try to learn. What I'm saying is, if you know, if you have the skill, then definitely you can help your carrier, right? Then yes, you can offer IFTA, billing, DOT, then safety compliance, all that good stuff. You can definitely do that. I think, is a carrier an owner-operator? Is it the statement or question? We get the carrier interested, then what is all the documents we send, such as onboarding. Okay, so you're looking for the onboarding process. The onboarding process is very straightforward. When your carrier says yes to your service, first thing needs to go is the proposal. Proposal is, this is how we do it, right? We send proposal to a carrier saying that, hey, this is how we operate, this is what we do, this is how we find loads. We don't agree on a single load rate per mile. What that means is that when a carrier says, I want $4 every single time, we say no, we don't operate that way. But what we can promise to you is that yes, you will be making money with us. How? Because we will do monthly average. That means if your cost per mile is 2.5, let's say, or 1.5, then we at least help you to make $1. And we give that promise because we know our processes, we know our methods and strategies and tactics, that it works, right? The method, the way that we do it. So And think about if we give them $1 as a profit for every single mile that they drive. An average carrier drives about 10,000 miles each month. 1 multiplied by 10, they get 10,000. Well, 10,000 is a profit, right? So very important. And if you like, if a carrier says, well, I need to get a $4 per mile or 3.75 per mile every single time, no, we're not the right fit. We can't work with you. I can't do that, right? Physically, it's impossible. Well, it just, at least it doesn't work for me. I can't find loads for you like every single time $4 or $3. No, if the dispatcher says this, if you're a carrier watching, run away. It's not possible, and you know that. And dispatchers watching also, you guys know that it's impossible. Because sometimes I can get a load 2.75, not even at $3. Right, next load could be at $3. Then I can use my strategies. I know how to pull these good paying loads, and I can book a load for $5. Yes, it's possible. I know it works. Like I do have rate confirmations, and I can book even $6 per mile. Right? Yes, you guessed it. The shark or the pro dispatcher watching, he or she knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's possible. You can find these using load board specifically. We can find those loads. But then when we take the average, it comes up to about like 3.75 or something like that, or 3.5, which is, it's really good for the carrier. But again, when I said for the carrier, there's a specific carrier. Everything boils down to cost per mile. Hope that helps. Now, where do I find the carrier? Well, I think when we post this video, just rewatch, because I gave a lot of stuff, right? The tactics, the strategies. Like, this is crazy. If you're a good dispatcher, they will find you, 100%. Let's see. Okay, let's say, Kamal, how busy are you? I can offer you a business with 35 trucks. Okay, it's a fleet. We can build a good relations if you are really good. Not interested in partnership right now, but thank you anyway. So let me take this. Can you please give me a reference of that video? Well, I think when I post this video, I'll include that link so you can guys watch that video that I mentioned in the video. By the way, if you can, like this, that would be awesome. And by the way, guys, don't forget to subscribe, because I, post a lot, and then I decided to do a lot of lives like these. So let me see. How, as a dispatcher, I get my payment from a dispatching service without the factoring company. Can you give me an example? Yeah, so you are a business, right? Because you're an independent freight dispatching agency. Think about it's an agency. Agency is the business. Business, you are into the business to business, right? B2B. Now, you helping carriers, you help the carrier. What you do is you send them the invoice, right? So you can use invoicing software. Some people use QuickBooks. There, other people using specific, invoicing, software, and you just invoice whatever the job you done, and that's it. You collect the money. And how we collect the money, there are different ways. I recommend using Stripe. That way you can get, paid easily, and you can track, you can do all sorts of things. You can also send invoice, by the way. And yeah, that, how it works. The disadvantage of this is, if the carrier just runs away, right, cheats on you, doesn't want to pay, then obviously you just like on your own, like hiring a collection agency or whatever to get the money from the carrier. But if you're working with the factoring company, then it's like you guarantee to get paid. Why? Because factoring company will get your money first, then what's left will deposit into the carrier's account, and then obviously deposit your cut, whatever the cut is, maybe 5%, 10%, whatever. So, guys, and let me take this question. How can we adjust